Welcome everyone, this is ZOZO Stock Watch, and let's get ready for the week ahead, September 25th through September 29th. Well, fresh tensions as North Korea stays on the front burner and the U.S. toughens sanctions on North Korea. The FOMC held the rates, but in December they're hinting at a possible hike. They will start their unwind in October. Apple has connectivity issues with their watch. And those hurricanes are still blowing out there, the last one being Maria. As Mario Gabelli says, will T-Mobile and Sprint, will they make love this weekend? We'll see on TMUS and Sprint. So let's look into some of the charts that we're looking at, and we'll start with the NASDAQ Composite. And this is the weekly chart. For the week, we were down a tad. For Friday on the NASDAQ, we were up 1. For the S&P, we were up for the NASDAQ, we were up 4. For the S&P, we were up 1. And for the Dow, we were -9 for Friday going into the weekend. As you can see, though, the NASDAQ composite chart is still staying strong. We're still above the 10 SMA. If we go ahead and look at the Dow Jones Industrial Averages, we continue to make new highs. We're pulling back a little bit from that 22.5 spot on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but we're holding very strong above the 10 SMA. For the SPY itself, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. We have the SPY coming up against that resistance there at 250.20, 250.30, but the SPY is still above the 10 SMA. Let's go ahead and go through some of the markets. We'll take a look at we'll look at gold. Gold for the week was down 2%. We'll also look at the IBB, a little bit of a pullback, down about 0.5% on the IBB, but the weekly still holding strong above the 10 SMA. The IYT had a very nice week. We were up 4.22% for the IYT. Some of the airlines participating, the truckers were moving up in the IYT. Also, let's take a look at the Nat Gas UNG ETF. That was down almost 3% for the week, but oil was up a fraction for the week on the USO. So let's really dive into it and let's look at some of those charts. All right, let's take a look at the transports first, and you see the transports, a nice recovery off of this 162, and we got above the 50 SMA, and now we're back near all-time highs on the transports. And some of those names helping lead the way. We had AAPL leading the way. If you look at the JETS ETF for the airlines, you see we had a nice bounce here. And now we're trying to get back above the 50 SMA. And here's Delta Airlines, and that one is popping a little bit off of the lows. LUV is another airline popping up off of the lows. We also had some of the railroads doing good. CSX Corporation moving up. JB Hunt powering up to new highs here on JB Hunt. And KNX, this is Knight Swift Transportation, and that one moved up and is still above the 50 SMA. One that isn't participating right yet is YRC Worldwide. That one might want to make a move on YRC. FedEx, nice recovery from their earnings. The stock was down, and then the buyers came in here at the 5 EMA on Federal Express, but UPS is still remaining strong. Some other railroads powering up. UNP, Union Pacific, that one's powering up, and Canadian Pacific also pushing higher. KSU, Kansas City Southern, this one is also up near highs too on KSU. So the IYT, right, really nice recovery, so that should help the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And that one for the Dow, for the day, we were down 9-10 points for the day, but we still are above the 10 SMA on the daily chart and holding the 5 EMA on the daily chart. And this is with all the North Korean tensions going on and the FOMC, and we did go through a lot of Fed speak this week too. The dollar gained some ground and coming up off the lows. We'll take a look at the UUP, the ETF. So a little bit of a bounce here off of the lows on the dollar. Like we said, gold on the daily chart, this kind of rolled over here at the 128, but we are trying to hold the 50 SMA on GLD. If we take a look at silver, That is below the 50 SMA and trying to get back above it. But silver and gold not doing very well this week. JJC, that pulled back down to the 50 SMA. This is the ETF for copper, and that's down below the 50 SMA after it had that big run up on JJC. We look at the Qs on the daily chart, and you see that 147, 146.50 area resistance right now. We are trying to hold the 50 SMA on the QQQ. Let's take a look at some of the bigger names. Amazon fell back below the 50 SMA. Google showing a little bit of weakness, falling down below the 50 SMA, still not able to get above the 100 SMA on Google. Facebook this week took a little bit of a pullback, right back down to the 50 SMA on the daily chart. Tesla, this one is moving down, right back down to the 50 SMA after it couldn't get above this resistance here of about 390. We pushed up over it, and now we're pulling back and moving back down to the 50 SMA on Tesla. Next one up, we'll take a look at Netflix, which has been the strongest of the bunch. Netflix, nice pop off the 50 SMA and has been riding up, but now we're getting up near this 190 spot on Netflix, so maybe a little bit of resistance here on Netflix. If we look at the weekly, you see we've been holding that 10 SMA, but we are getting up to that 190 spot on Netflix, so there might be some resistance there for NLFX. Let's go ahead and take a look at the IYR. This is the real estate, and for the week this was down about 2.5%, so IYR was down. We'll also take a look at the utilities, and let's see, that was down about 3% on the utilities. So you know, it's a strange action if the Fed didn't raise rates. But I guess because they're hinting at raising rates for December, so we're taking some profits in the utilities. XLF was very strong this week. We're up 2.66% for the week on the XLF, and we're coming up to all-time highs here on the XLF. So nice recovery in the banks from a few weeks ago, and pushing up to the highs now with such names like JP Morgan, Citigroup pushing to new highs, Bank America pushing up near new highs. Let's check out some regionals. Zion bouncing up today, bouncing up for the week. So Zion, very nice moves. And KRE, which is for the regionals, that was also up almost 4% for the week, and that's the regional bank ETF. Next up, we're going to take a look at the SMH, and the SMH powered up through this 90 spot, but now on the weekly we have this indecisive candle here, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. If we look at it on the daily chart, we got that push up to 93, and then we had the pullback down to the 10 SMA, and they're trying to hold the 10 SMA on the SMH. For the OIH, a nice recovery off the bottom here, that 22 spot, and we're moving up above the 100 SMA, and that's such names as Schlumberger powering up for SLB, Rig moving up nicely back over the 50 SMA, HAL pushing up and moving up. Some of the refiners had really powerful weeks like VLO, PSX, all pushing up this week in the refiners. So very nice moves in the refiners this week. If we go ahead and look at the automation index, this is still riding the 10 SMA on the daily, and if we look at it on the weekly, you see this powerful move. Now we do have an indecisive candle here, could be a topping candle, so we'll see how this plays out. But I mean, this has had a tremendous run, and NVIDIA is a big part of that. And you see NVIDIA broke out above that 170, popped it, but now on the weekly chart, NVIDIA coming up to that 190 spot and pulling back. So we'll keep our eye on NVIDIA. And then AVGO also pulled back this week, down about 5% on AVGO. If we want to go ahead and look at some of the cybersecurity names, we have Hack holding above the 20 SMA on the weekly, and kind of just, you know, cup with a little bit of a handle here. trying to get up above that 30-50 spot for HACK, and that's such names as FireEye, and that one holding up above the 10 SMA, CUDA. That one not playing so well, couldn't get above and hold above. Actually did get above the 2450, but just couldn't hold above it for CUDA. Let's see, Palo Alto Networks. That one had the earnings and that had the big gap up, but right now it's kind of stalling. FTNT. This one might be setting up with a nice, cup here and consolidating here. So this one is interesting on FTNT. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the bigger names like Apple. And Apple sold off this week, down about, I think it was 5% for the week. Yeah, 5% for the week on Apple. And we are down below the 20 SMA and the 10 SMA on the weekly charts. What else can we look at for you? We'll look at some names like Intel, which was very strong this week. And Intel looks like it's starting to break out on the weekly chart here on Intel, and a nice recovery bounce here off of this 3450 on the daily chart and pushing up. Some other names we'll take a look at. McDonald's, still holding above the 50 SMA. And next we'll go to Boeing, defense name, and this one popping and moving up, from that 240 up to 260. And here's the weekly chart of Boeing, getting a little bit stretched now on Boeing, so keep your eye on that one. Caterpillar, here's your weekly chart showing a lot of strength in Caterpillar. So CAT is just doing a tremendous job, and Goldman Sachs starting to perk up here on the weekly. If we look at it on the daily chart, we'll go ahead and line that for you, and you see we're kind of in this channel here, and I'll move this down. And you can see with Goldman Sachs, kind of in this channel, we might break out. So we're holding this like 215 area and trying to get above this 235, 233 area on Goldman Sachs. So we'll see if that one's going to follow the rest of the banks. For Home Depot, this one, we had that pullback in it, and now we had the recovery back over the 50 SMA, and that one is pushing back up for Home Depot. Coca-Cola, pulled back below the 50 SMA, but was on quite a run for Coca-Cola. Some other hot stocks are Verizon, and this one a nice recovery off the lows, but pushing up to that 50 level now, so a little bit of resistance there. If we look at it on the weekly though, it is kind of breaking out above the moving averages, so watch that 50 area on Verizon. And let's just take a look at AT&T, pretty much similar chart here for AT&T. Walmart, on the daily chart, we still haven't been able to get over this resistance spot here. We're still in this consolidation for Walmart. Needs to get up over that 81 spot. Next up, we'll take a look at Merck, that had a very powerful move off the lows on the daily. But you see we got up to this 6650 spot for Merck, and that one is maybe pulling back now a little bit. Let's go ahead and look at some of the other indices, and we'll look at IWM, and this one is powering up and actually a leader now in IWM. Here's the weekly chart, and you see that we're still remain above the 10 SMA, and looks like we might be breaking out to new all-time highs here on the IWM. The IWC, which is the micro caps, pushed up off of this support, and that one is definitely making a new all-time high on the micro caps. So a very nice movement there. This is the new leaders now. IWC and IWM are the new leaders in the market. We'll go ahead and take a look at the IBB. And IBB, we pushed up to this 335 42, 335.52 area here on the IBB. We're rolling over a little bit. We're a little bit below the fast moving averages for the IBB, so just be aware of that. And we'll look at it on the weekly chart and see what was our damage. So we came up to this area here, and we're pulling back slightly after this big powerful move up. We haven't even taken back half of the move yet, and we still have a rising 10 SMA on the weekly chart. So let's go ahead and take a little look at some of the news stories that came out. McCain announces opposition to Republican health care bill, likely dooming it. So it looks like the health care bill is off the table. The other thing that is out there is Trump's tax plan. Will that go through? And we're still wondering if he's going to get that infrastructure through. And so the other thing that's on everybody's mind is North Korea, as they threatened a hydrogen bomb test in the Pacific Ocean. So this is the fresh tensions that I was talking about. And then we see some articles like this. The Fed is out of control. Balance sheet is a major threat. So everybody's going to be watching this unwind of the FOMC and the Fed, how they unwind this their balance sheet and all the, trillions of dollars they have to deal with as far as those bonds and balances. If we look at the insider transaction ratio, though, we're still on the bullish side for this. Ratio is at 21. Bearish would be up here in the 60s, and we're nowhere near that. So still showing, positive strength here on insider transaction ratio. As far as the performance for some of the S&P 500, we had the XLY down slightly. The S&P itself was up fractionally for the week. XLE is your strongest sector right now. XLF, next strongest sector, or actually the strongest sector. Also, the XLV was down some. XLI was strong this week. That's the industrials. XLB strong. XLRE down. XLK and XLU were down this week. So that's your S&P ETFs for the week. And then our fear and greed, this was up at 80. And now we've pulled back to about 70 now. So the fear and greed index, this is an oscillator. We're down to about 70 now. We were as high as, I believe, 81, and we kind of came off of that. So that's some of your news articles and some of the indicators around the market. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of our best stocks for the week. And we had RADA, R-A-D-A, that's up 14% for the week. AJRD, another defense name. This stock was up almost 20% for the week. KTOS up 10% for the week. So those are all defense stocks. ITUS was up 229% for the week. So that's ITUS. HMNY. This stock was up 90% for the week on HMNY. CAPR up 114%. VERI was up 87% for the week. MDGL up 82% for the week. ARDM, that was up 77% for the week. IZEA up 70% for the week. 77% for the week on IZEA. OPNT was up 68% for the week. AKTX up 51% for the week. SITO was up 22% for the week. GROW up 17%. AXON, that was plus 17% for the week. CBIO was up 22% for the week. SGMS up 12% for the week. LGCY up 11% for the week. APC was up 12% for the week, and DVN up 6%, HES up 5%, MRO up 7%. So some of the oil names getting some nice pops this week. COP up 6%, NBR up 6%. KMX, who had earnings, was up 9% for the week on CarMax. And that's your best stocks for the week. Let's go ahead and we'll jump right into some of the worst stocks for the week. VSAR, this was down Thursday into Friday, down 85%. SNCR down 43%. TNTR, this stock was down 30%. ICPT was down 35%. NLNK down 13% for the week. BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond retailer, down 22% for the week. Foot Locker down 9% for the week. Finish Line was also down 7% for the week on Finish Line. Under Armour down 8% for the week. SKX minus 6% for the week. BBY Best Buy down 8% for the week. Tesla down 8% for the week. Macy's down 5% for the week. JCPenney down 5% for the week. DDS down about 3% for the week. So the retailers still weak. Some of the solar stock, SPWR, that was down 9% for the week. RUN down 17% for the week. CSIQ down 5% for the week. JKS was down 9% for the week. And then we go into some of the steel stocks. X was down 5% for the week on letter X, United Steel. AKS down 6% for the week. But not all is lost in the steel stocks, because we had TMST, and that was up 7% for the week, steel stock TMST. And then ZEUS, that was also up, and that was up about 3% for the week. And lastly, we had Apple with their watch issues, and that stock was down 5% for the week. So Tesla and Apple, Tesla down 8% and Apple down 5%, are not normally seen in the worst stocks of the week. But here they are. So maybe we're starting to see a little chink in the armor in some of the bigger names in the NASDAQ. So that's your worst stocks for the week. I'll be doing a webinar on Monday, September 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and also Thursday, September 28th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And you're more than welcome to come to both. And would like to have you there. I'm ZOZO Stockwatch, and you can come join me at my webinar this coming week, September 25th and September 28th. Also, I'll put this down in the description, so you'll have the link to sign up. But basically, all you have to do, put your name, put your email, and hit send, and you'll have a spot for the upcoming webinar. Also, I'll be offering deep discounts on the service that I run, so you can come and check that out. There'll be a special coupon for webinar participants. All right, so let's get ready for the week ahead, September 25th through September 29th. And as you can see in the red here, we have a lot of Fed speak coming up this week and a lot of economic information coming up for this week. For Monday, though, for economic information, we have the Chicago Fed National Activity Index, and then we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Survey at 10:30 for Monday. We also have some Fed speak at 8:30 and then 12:40 and then 6:30 for Fed speak. For Tuesday, we do have Janet Yellen speaking at 10 minutes to 12, and she'll be discussing inflation. So maybe she'll talk about interest rates during that. So let's be aware, Janet Yellen speaking on Tuesday, the 26th. So that'll be very important. Also, you have the State Street Investor Confidence Index at 10 o'clock. You have Consumer Confidence at 10 o'clock. New home sales, 10 o'clock. Richmond Fed Manufacturing also at 10 o'clock. So a lot of numbers coming out for Tuesday. And don't forget, you have the API 430 API oil numbers. And then we have some numbers coming out from Asia on Tuesday night. So you have Japan and China industrial profits for China. As far as Wednesday goes, some more Fed speak going on, MBA mortgage applications, U.S. pending home sales, the EIA petroleum report will be coming out. Also, we have more Fed speak at 1:30, and then at 7 o'clock p.m. additional Fed speak. For Thursday, you have some numbers coming out from the Eurozone. We have the GDP at 8:30, so big number there. Also, we have Fed speak, Esther George. We also have a 10:30 Nat Gas. Kansas City Fed Manufacturing Index, farm prices, more economic information from Japan and China on Thursday night. Friday, we have a lot of information coming out from France, Germany, and Europe. Also for Friday, we have personal income and outlays at 8:30 in the United States. Fed speak, 11 o'clock on Friday, Patrick Harker. And let's see, we also have some numbers coming out on Friday night from China. So a very busy week as far as economic information goes. And so we have Janet Yellen on Tuesday, and I believe Mario Draghi will be speaking on Monday. So just be aware that Mario Draghi might be speaking also about inflation and whatnot. All right, now if we go ahead and get it right into the earnings for the week ahead, and this is your earnings chart for the week ahead. and I'll give you some of those names for the earnings. All right, so the bigger names on Monday, September 25th, we have Red Hat coming out, SNX, ASNA. For Tuesday, we have DRI, Darden, we have FDS, INFO. After the bell, Tuesday, we have CTAS, LNDC, MU, Nike, and that's Tuesday after the bell for Nike. Also, for Wednesday before the bell, we have ATU and WOR. After the close on Wednesday, we have CMTL, FUL, JBL, PIR, PRGS, and THO. So all those names are coming out Wednesday after the close. Now, while there's not a lot of earnings, there's some important companies in here. Pier 1 Imports, J-Bill, and Micron is very big, and also Red Hat on Monday. Then after that, we get into Thursday. Before the open, we have ACN, ANGO, BBRY, CMD, CCL, CAG, EROS, OMN, RAD, Rite Aid, MTN. After the bell, we have CAMP, KB Homes, and SGH. So you see a big day for BlackBerry will be Thursday before the open. We have Conagra, McCormick. Then after the close, we have KB Homes and CAMP. Friday, I don't have anything listed for earnings at all. So no earnings Friday before the bell. So that's your earnings for your week. And so some big names here: Micron, CTAS, J-Bill, Rite Aid, BlackBerry, Accenture, and Conagra. So a good KB Homes. So a good broad mix of earnings for the week ahead. If we go ahead and get into our market wrap, we have top gainers and losers for Friday: PETZ, ASND, EARS, QUAD, KONE, VNRX, Juno, MB, KMX, LB, EFX, AGRX. Top losers for Friday, and this is courtesy of the trade exchange, VSLR, as their endpoint did not meet the requirements for VSAR, and that stock just was clobbered, down 87%. FALC, RVLT, ICPT, DCIX, they're doing a 1-for-3 reverse split. EXEL, YOGA, DMPI, MBVX, W, and VLRX, DVA, also on the losing side. For your top call activity for last week, we had, for Friday, ATVI, unusual call activity, BWP, CDE, CCI, FIT, GLUU, and Lulu. For put activity, we had NFX, NLNK, Sprint, SAND, STZ, and Verizon. So this should read the put activity for that side. Okay, so that's your put and call activity for Friday. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the news that came out after the bell on Friday. ATOS filed Form S3, 50 million mixed shelf for ATOS. DCIX, as I mentioned, they're going to do a 1-for-3 reverse split. NVLN filed Form SC13, Morgan Stanley, 5.2% stake. We also had that came out on Friday after the bell. RNVA 1-for-15 reverse split. That'll be on October 5th. AGN receives refusal to file a letter from FDA. BMY, FDA approves Bristol Myers Squibb. CDNA was up after hours Friday. Medicare reimbursement to increase from, and there's the numbers listed there. And then on the weekend, we've had some news coming out. SIX Barron's for Six Flags facing more competition and slower growth. That came out. It's an article by Barron's. CDNS, SNPS, XLNX, Artificial Intelligence Rising Stars. That was from the Barron's. Also, let's see, SoftBank making some comments on the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. So we'll see if those two are going to come together over the weekend. CBIO, FDA orphan drug designation. and AGRX FDA orphan drug designation. Sorry about that. We talked about the McCain, some insider purchases after hours from Friday. INBK CEO purchased 5K. SMTX 10% owner purchased over 124,000 shares. Barron's mentioned Oracle, and that's pretty much, oh, and here's our syndicate. Like we said, ATOS filed Form S3, CHRS filed Form S3, DLR filed Form S3, MNOV filed Form S3, SEP filed Form S3. So that's some of your news that came out for Friday. Couple of last second things I want to talk about. LIT, very strong. This is the lithium ETF. Here's the daily on it. It is pulling back. That's such names as ALB. And you see the strength. This is ALB. It's a part of that ETF, LIT, and SQM. Very strong plays in the lithium space, and they are pulling back a little bit. So LIT, once again, is the ETF. Also, I wanted to talk about that I neglected to talk about was TAN, and TAN has had a nice pop. We've been holding above this 20 SMA, and that's the ETF for TAN Solar. But we'll see what's going to happen this week. Some of the solars did have some weakness this week, but First Solar was showing strength. REMX is the Rare Earth Strategic Metals ETF, and you see that's up above the 200 SMA. But on the daily chart, we are getting a little bit of a pullback in REMX. SOCL Social. This one is holding strong, but above the 20, but back below the 10 SMA on the daily chart. If you see it on the weekly chart, what an amazing push we've had. Most of this is Facebook, but a very nice push in SOCL. This kind of looks like a topping candle there on social, so we'll see what they want to do with that. And then lastly, Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin Trust. It's holding the 10 SMA on the weekly chart, and on the daily chart it did push down to about that 500 spot. It pushed back up, excuse me, and now we're kind of riding the 50 SMA on the GBTC. So that's pretty much it for the week. You're more ready for the week ahead than you were before. Come join me at my webinar September 25th, which is Monday at 6 o'clock, or September 28th, 6 o'clock, that's Thursday. So, you can come to one, come to both. Would love to have you. Thank you so much. And you are more ready for the week ahead than you were before. Have a very good week trading. I'll be doing a stocks on watch. That'll be out later today. Thank you again. Thank you for subscribing. Please hit that subscribe button and support the channel. Thank you so much.